Harry and Meghan Markle officially admitting defeat in Hollywood. 4 years post-Mexit, the couple seem more aimless than ever before. And we see this exemplified by their desperate efforts to rebrand, to represent themselves to the world as, get this, right? The Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Yeah, so yes, they have a new slick website called Sussex.com. If you live in any counties called Sussex, any cities called Sussex or have Sussex in it, it doesn't matter because it is all about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle because they are the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And the couple seemingly are aimless. They don't really seem to have any purpose, and they just seem to be trying to grab cash wherever they can. And it seems like this rebranding effort is simply admitting defeat. They just don't seem to have much going for them at this point, except for one single thing. They're trying to be royal again. Yes, they left the royal family, but they didn't leave on their terms. In fact, they still wanted a half in, half out thing. And it seems like they're still desperately pitching that, or at least trying to present themselves that way, because the website is titled The Office of Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Well, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, I hate to say it, but that office should not exist here in the United States. We are a democracy. We are not a constitutional monarchy. If you want to have the office of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, you should have stayed in the United Kingdom. But the couple just can't seem to let the royal stuff go because it is also the only thing making them money. 4 years post-Mexit, they've run into one brick wall after another in their continual failure in Hollywood. And so we will go over what is in these websites today and everything we'll see and what this might mean for the future of Harry and Meghan and the rest of the monarchy, because it is time. I've said this over and over again. The titles must be pulled because this farce can't go on much longer, especially with King Charles undergoing cancer treatments and Prince William helping Catherine recover from her own abdominal surgery. The brand of Harry and Meghan has gone completely off the rails in their desperation to make money after a series of failures. So we will discuss this today, but if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network, my name is Brittany. I provide y'all compelling royal commentaries. If you guys want to hit that subscribe button, that would be awesome. I'm hoping to get to 150,000 subscribers very, very soon. So I would love to see you guys back. We also just have 3 more spots of early bird pricing for my trip to Scotland with some of the followers. I'm so excited. It's going to be such a fun trip. We'll go start in Edinburgh, go up to the Isle of Skye. So if you guys are interested in that, there will be a link up above and links down below, and you can get all the details on that there. And I also have a sponsorship with Anna Lucia Diamond, so I have some of my diamond earrings on, some diamond rings. So I will link these particular pieces down below. So if you guys are interested in that, they're lab created diamonds at a great price, and it is almost Valentine's Day. And I guess it is apt. I just thought I would wear red today, but seemingly since it's almost Valentine's Day, red is very, very fitting. But let's go back to Harry and Meghan. So this dropped sort of later this evening around 5 o'clock, and I saw it on Twitter and I was like, what, is this real? Well, unfortunately, it was very, very real. The office of Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And we did get a little hint of this in their corporate email Christmas card, which was very banal. And I will say, for a couple who are connected with the Church of England and still want to be royals, why can't you say Merry Christmas instead of just Happy Holidays? Don't know. But Harry and Meghan are desperate to make money. Yes, they do have some revenue coming in, but I think the revenue is really, really starting to dwindle. And it's really starting to dawn on the couple that really the only thing they have to sell is their royal connections, because that is all they have. In these 4 years since Megxit, they have failed at every single point to position themselves outside of that royal box. Everything connects back to royalty. Everything that succeeded with them connects back to their royal titles. They have to use them constantly. They have to tell us all the time how much they are the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. But what they failed to do is actually be successful in their chosen career, which is Hollywood. Archewell Productions, I think broadly, I would personally label it as a failure. They have failed at pretty much almost every level at Archewell Productions, and they lost their deal with Spotify. They don't seem to have anybody picking up Archetypes, and they don't seem to have any other podcasts in the pipeline. And so what are these two hapless people going to do? Because they need money coming in. They live a billionaire's lifestyle on a millionaire's salary. So they are desperate for cash. So what do they do? Why? They're deciding to rebrand. And of course it is Sussex.com, which is number one, it's not very creative, but all it reminds us is that title is everything to them because it is the sole thing that anybody cares about regarding them. Harry and Meghan had one simple job in the 4 years since Mexit, and that is make a career for themselves. And they failed to do that at every single level. So the big failure, of course, automatically is Archetypes. Archetypes was 12 episodes. It was a wildly overproduced podcast, although Meghan does cite it as a great success in her bio. Of course she does. And Spotify decided after those 12 episodes of a ridiculously overly produced podcast that had middling views to drop it. And no single company has picked it up. No single company has picked it up. We're getting probably closing in on a year now since Spotify dropped them, and no company is interested in it. Now, they claim they're still going to be doing podcasting, but they've had a year to try to decide what to do. And actually, Archetypes itself ended in December or November of 2022. So they've had a long time to come up with a podcast plan, but they got nothing. They got nothing. I mean, I've heard that Invictus might do a podcast, but I think it would be much more fitting for Invictus to do that rather than have anything to do with Harry and Meghan, because they seem to put roadblocks in front of every creative effort, because Meghan Markle, in my opinion, is a rather controlling person, so she wants to control every aspect of it. The problem is that she's not a creative. You can be controlling and you can be demanding, but you also have to be good at what you do. There's a lot of directors who are controlling and demanding, like James Cameron comes to mind, but he's very, very competent as a script writer, a director. He's written multiple blockbusters worth billions. But Harry and Meghan have done none of that. And so they are controlling things where they just really don't even have the creative juices to pull it off in the first place. And so they constantly, I think, make their own products worse. The Harry and Meghan reality TV show with Netflix has really been their only successful venture, not only with Netflix, but I would say overall. And the problem, though, with Harry and Meghan is that it was an overly produced, self-indulgent mess. It was trying to tell us that Meghan was perfect for the Commonwealth because of her heritage. It was trying to tell us how bad the royal family was. And they were trying to portray Meghan as being hugely stalked and harassed, but they had to do that by using stock images. And so none of that worked. But why people watched that was because of the royal drama. Meghan Markle from Suits and Prince Harry, the guy who barely graduated high school, would not get that audience. The only reason they got that audience was because of the royal titles. And we obviously saw two failures after that, Live to Lead and Heart of Invictus. Heart of Invictus should have been, I would say, more successful. But again, it was overly self-indulgent. It was overly produced. It was sort of a mess. It didn't really work. And so it failed broadly as well. And perhaps maybe it didn't even have a big audience in the first place, because the other problem Harry and Meghan have is that they want their titles to carry all their projects rather than actually being competent in their field. They're not producing competent works and allowing the work to speak. They also want the titles to speak for the work. They want people to watch simply because it was produced by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And while there are some people in Hollywood who could command that, you know, Christopher Nolan, you could say maybe James Cameron, you can maybe say Quentin Tarantino, there's a couple of directors like that. We obviously have actors like Tom Cruise, maybe Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Julia Roberts, but some of these former bigwigs of Hollywood are also losing out as the myth of the movie star sort of dies. And so movie stars in general don't drive people to theaters. It's usually the property, and directors don't always drive people to theaters except for in certain instances. And so you have all that coming into play. But Harry and Meghan, beyond their royalty, what else is driving anybody into their products? Because we also have, of course, The Bench, which was a failure. Meghan cites it, of course, as a New York Times bestseller, but New York Times bestsellers can be bought. Yes, you can buy your spot on the New York Times. There's ways to fluff the numbers and get things where you need to go by publishers buying their own copies. There's different ways to do it. That doesn't really indicate it was a great success. And then obviously the only other success you could say was Harry's book Spare. But again, what is that all about? Why? It's about being royal. Royalty, that is what that book is all about. And there is obviously some reports as well that the book really wasn't as great of seller as people have been led to believe in some ways, that perhaps there was some hanky-panky going on behind the scenes. But it was still a huge event last year. And so Spare and the reality TV show were the only two things that were really successful for them. And as time has gone on, I think they're getting more and more pressure from Netflix to continue riffing off the royal titles. And they're probably, I think, hitting a lot of roadblocks with Netflix going, yeah, we're not totally interested in that project. Yeah, we'll let you work on it, but you really need to work a lot on it because we don't like where it is right now. So Harry and Meghan now are hitting this roadblock where really at the end of the day, the only thing they have to fall back on, the only thing throughout their entire post-Mexit career that has been successful is anything containing their royal titles. So in that instance, in those confluences of events, the thing that makes the most sense, of course, is rebranding themselves yet again as royals, because they never really wanted to not be royal. They tried to do this half in, half out thing, but the problem is that they went about it all wrong. I think Harry and Meghan could have had the best of both worlds, but they were kind of stupid in their execution of it. So they announced Mexit before completing their negotiations with the royal family. They made their demands, which the royal family could not meet. They seem to want to continue with all their titles and do all the fun things while not doing any of the other bread and butter royal roles. And so the monarchy had to go no, in part because the negotiation, the way the Sussexes went about it, was so bad. The monarchy just simply couldn't say yes to them. You just can't say yes to somebody who doesn't even meet you at the table, but instead makes demands when they don't really have the leverage to make those demands. But Harry and Meghan have never been happy with that. They still want to be royal. But the problem is now they're in the United States. In the United States, they are no longer royalty. They are, yes, technically royals, but we don't have royals here. We don't have the need for royal roles here because it just doesn't fit within the history of our country. But Harry and Meghan, no, they are not going to let us forget that. We are not going to ever not have Harry and Meghan just harping on behind the scenes about how royal they are. And Sussex.com is an example of that. It's an example of that hubris, of that belief that because they have these titles, they need a seat at the table without earning it. That's what it tells me, is that they demand to be seen as royals. They demand to be important without actually working to be important. And yes, by accident of birth, royals are important. But it's about the work you do behind the scenes, how you build things. That is what makes your legacy at the end of the day. It's not just saying you're royal, demanding attention, but not really having any substance behind it. So let's go into a little bit of the details of the website. And of course, we have to go through their introductory photo there. I hate that photo. I think Meghan looks awful in that photo. She is overly grinning. She's like, ah! Yeah, it's just an awful photo in my opinion. Harry looks fine, but Meghan looks awful in that picture. I don't know why they like it so much, but of course it was done by Misan Harriman, who's Meghan's favorite photographer. She interviewed him about his short film, which has been nominated for an Oscar. He took a couple pictures for them and stuff like that. So he has a connection to them. So obviously maybe they still want to promote it. But I guess apparently this website is more for their fans to let you know personal updates about the couple. Because, you know, we are all so desperate for the personal happenings of Harry and Meghan. And yes, obviously I talk about Harry and Meghan a lot, but that's because they are entertaining. They are not royals, they are entertainment. And that entertainment, that car crash mentality people see them as is why people constantly are looking towards them. They're looking to laugh at them, not with them. Another thing is the crest that they're using. The couple are using Meghan's royal crest, not their crest as a couple, Meghan. So what you could read into this is that this really is, at the end of the day, all about Meghan. It's all about Meghan. This website, everything is all about promoting her, not him. her. And yes, her image needs more rehab than his does, but his has also taken a catastrophic nosedive since getting with her. And perhaps maybe getting hers better might raise his, but I don't really think so, because at the end of the day, most people still see her as the problem. She's still seen by most people as the problem in their relationship. And so putting her crest on there just highlights that. We also have that the bios between the two of them, Meghan's is 200 words longer than his is. And I gotta say, I think Harry's probably deserves to be much longer than hers because he is far more important than she is. But again, it's all about promoting Meghan. Meghan's dreams, Meghan's aspirations. So let's look at his bio real quick. So he lists himself as a humanitarian, military veteran, mental health advocate, and environmental campaigner. And he has dedicated his adult life to advancing causes that he is passionate about and advance that permanent change for people and places. And he even mentions being on the board of African Parks after its catastrophic news came out about abuse happening within the Baka community over there in the Republic of the Congo. So that doesn't look good either. I can't believe somebody didn't catch that. But again, Harry and Meghan, not greatly competent people. And it doesn't mention anything about why we should care about Harry, which is the fact that he is related to the King of England. Yes, I know it's the King of the United Kingdom technically, but we all just recognize it generally as the King of England. So Charles is not mentioned here at all, neither is his brother, neither is his mother. Now, it's good because Harry and Meghan rely way too much on the legacy of Diana going forwards. But the only reason people care about Harry and the title that he has is because of his royal relatives. Without that, nobody would care about Harry. Regular Harry Windsor, no one would care. No one would care. That is the truth. And sometimes it's important to recognize the things that actually got you places. Because to me, that's important. Not just thinking, well, I got here because I'm so great, which we'll get to in Meghan's, but that you got there because of your connection to somebody else, that you got there because of X, Y, and Z. Not yourself personally, but because of the connections that you had, that's how you got places. I always appreciate people who recognize that, because Meghan's bio, there's an immediate issue. She says, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is a feminist and champion of human rights and gender equity. Meghan Markle is a feminist, but the only reason she's gotten anywhere post-Suits. She would have been a forgotten actress after Suits. She would have been relegated to bit roles in Hallmark films. The only reason she's relevant is because of the man she married. To me, that's not totally a feminist. And I think it's ridiculous that she doesn't acknowledge, she does sort of later, but she doesn't acknowledge that the only reason that she is where she is, she's never acknowledged this, is that the only reason she is where she is now is because of the man she married. She's achieved nothing on her own. I think a lot of her, achievements people cite, especially like the UN speech and everything, were the result of PR from her PR company, not Meghan herself actually being invited for no inexplicable reason to give this speech. It was because of Meghan's PR company. And again, here, the only reason that this website exists, the only reason people still care about Meghan Markle is because of the guy she married. No other reason. She's not a feminist because everything she's gotten is from her husband. She has not achieved much on her own. Everything she has achieved is because of her husband. She never would have gotten a Netflix deal without the title of her husband. But she doesn't think that. In my opinion, Meghan doesn't think that. She believes she's gotten those deals because of how great she is. But that's not why she got those deals. She got those deals because of her husband. So her immediately saying she's a feminist, it kind of turns me off personally, because I think I'm like, well, what kind of feminist? Are you a man-hating feminist? Or there's different types of feminists. So when you say feminist, I think that turns people off immediately. And it's the first thing that matters to her, too, which means, of course, that, and who is surprised that Harry is less important, I think, overall, in Meghan's mind than she is. And of course, it lists all sorts of accomplishments like Archetypes, which flopped. It completely and utterly flopped. That's right, Spotify dropped them, is because it was a massive flop. It wasn't a success, and so they dropped it. And so it's just funny to watch her talk about all these incredible things that she's done. And we see this as well in the word count. So Harry's bio is 338 words, and Meghan's is 590 words. So Meghan's is almost 3 times as long as Harry's is. But I would guess that Harry has accomplished a lot more, or that his family connections mean he's a lot more important than her. But again, her crest is on the website. Her bio is more important. Why? Because Meghan in that relationship is more important. And Meghan is setting herself up probably for her post-married life. Let's look at Archewell Productions, because oh my gosh, guys, there's so much going on here. Get this. At Archewell Productions, we believe that stories have power to unite and inspire audiences around the globe. Founded in 2020 by Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, again, heaven forbid we miss that title, our company is dedicated to illuminating thought-provoking and diverse narratives that underscore our common humanity and celebrate community through scripted and non-scripted TV, film, documentaries, and podcasting. Well, they've only achieved technically 2 of those, which is documentaries and podcasting, but they didn't succeed, they just did them. So they don't really have much to focus on here. So I just think, I was like, oh, bless their hearts. They really stink at this. I mean, I don't want to laugh and like be mean, but at the same time, it's like they really are not great at this. And you saw this very much reflected in what Meghan told Variety on the red carpet. So go ahead and take a listen here.
Things that make people feel, I was going to say good, but it's more than that. Things that make people feel a sense of community, but we have so many exciting things on this slate. I can't wait until we can announce them, but I'm just really proud of what we're creating. My husband is loving it too.
So it's very, very similar to what she said. And she also had the thing where she goes, we just want people to, feel, not just feel, but feel. I'm like, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. But it's reflective, again, of Harry and Meghan's desperation here. They just don't really have a solid idea. They're all about generalities and banalities. They don't really have a specific course that you can follow. And they're almost, again, too broad. We're doing non-scripted, scripted, documentaries, podcasting, all these different things. Yet they can't really even get one of those things off the ground really well. I mean, I would say overall, in terms of actual goodness of content, they have not achieved anything like that. They need to work on getting a successful podcast going, which is probably the simplest out of all the things, but they can't even do that. So how are they going to do scripted, non-scripted, TV series, movies, documentaries, all these sorts of things when they can hardly do one single thing? That's just a recipe for disaster. And then we have the Archewell Foundation website, which is, the motto is, love this, show up, do good. We believe in the power of community as a transformative solution for our collective well-being. Unless you are members of our own family, then we will try to destroy you the best as humanly possible in our excessive pursuit of money. That's what it really should say, because it says show up and do good unless you're our family member. Then we don't care. We don't want to talk with you. We don't want to associate with you. Again, the disconnect between the reality of what they're doing and their branding just doesn't work. It doesn't work when you're trying to be all philanthropic and lovely. We want to create a community, but they hate the most essential community that people ever have, which is their family. Harry has a massive family that he doesn't talk to. That does not scream that you really care about community. You really only care about the community that promotes them. They only care about the community that talks themselves up. They don't care about a real community, because if they cared, then they would actually focus on their first community, which is their families, both his and hers. They're separated from both of their families. That does not scream people who have a healthy community dynamic. Meghan Markle only wants to be friends with, and only, I think, associates with people who she thinks either benefits her or is just like her, in terms of that they're all narcissist attention seekers. Those are the only people I think she can truly be friends with. Beyond that, I just don't think she can be friends with that many people, because they seem to kind of run into a road at some point, because Meghan is always self-serving. And so because of this new website, they also have a way to, share their more personal news. And we had to talk about Harry's NFL Honors Award. And this is the explanation for why he did this. In paying tribute to those who committed themselves to a life of service, Prince Harry presented the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award to Pittsburgh Steelers defensive tackle Cameron Hayward. Each year, the award is given in recognition of a player's community service off the field. It is considered the NFL's highest honor, though the Hayward House, Cameron Hayward, has helped uplift, inspire, and support countless young people in Pittsburgh. Prince Harry has long advocated for the power of sport for healing and building a community community. He was honored to present this award and highlight the importance of giving back. You almost feel like they're reacting to people's really negative reaction to him getting that. It's like, well, this is why, it's all about sport and service, and Harry's all about sport and service. Like, how can you not like that? But can Prince Harry tell me anything about American football? Because as many people have said, those who know rugby and those who know American football will say they don't have that much in common. They're not really the same game. And so although they have some similar elements, they are really definitely very different games. And so if Prince Harry was giving an award for rugby or for soccer here in the United States, which is football in the rest of the world, I would understand it. But American football, just because Prince Harry thinks he's serving people, like, why? But looking at these websites, what is clear here is that the least focus seems to be on their production side, because I don't think they have that much in the pipeline. I think Netflix was just blowing smoke when it came to Harry and Meghan and their upcoming schedule. I think they were just blowing smoke, trying to make things sound good. That's what good PR does. They say, oh, well, they're working on things, but that doesn't mean they're giving them any money. That doesn't mean anything is actually in production. Everything is in very early stages of production, which means it could be just a idea on the wall and maybe like 3 little points coming off of it. That doesn't mean that they're actually, in terms of filming things. They said nothing was being filmed. Something should be filmed right now. As soon as Harry was done with the Heart of Invictus, they should have had something halfway through done maybe already or something, or should have had the next thing up and running. But they don't, because I think Netflix is stonewalling them, because Netflix knows broadly they've been a failure at this. And I think Harry and Meghan are recognizing that too. They know they're failing in Hollywood. So what are they going to do? What is the best solution to this problem? Why, it's being royal in America. And we see this in the announcement through the Archewell Foundation that Meghan did a recent visit to, I think, Mina's Corner, something. I'm not sure, but it's not really the point. What are we looking at in this particular announcement in the pictures of Meghan is what she's doing with charity and what they're doing overall with their charity. Because there's a difference between royals and celebrities. Cameras, crews follow royals doing charitable work because that's essentially how they justify their existence to the people of their countries. Now, that's not broadly true in every instance, but seeing them actually work, represent, and impact local communities is how royals essentially sort of justify their existence. And obviously they have state roles as well, but day to day, how they justify their lifestyles, their security, all these sorts of things that they do have is by doing charitable work, utilizing the platform they've been given because of their title to highlight the work of other organizations. Because at the end of the day, without that, they just have titles and money and they can do whatever they want. But their purpose and goal is to highlight the good works of people. They go and they talk to the little guy. It's actually kind of cool when you think about it, because the President of the United States can't go to a sheep farm really and promote sheep farming, but royals can kind of do that. Princess Anne does a lot of those bread and butter royal engagements. She was at a horse stable last week celebrating its 35th anniversary. And so it's something that's very, very small, but at the same time too, it connects the people to the royals, and the photographers go along because the purpose of that engagement is to show the royals working and impacting the community, because that is what royals do. Now, when it comes to celebrities, it depends on what exactly they're doing. Yes, sometimes there's photographers or press people that show up either because maybe they're at a natural disaster and they're giving out supplies. Maybe they are attending a red carpet, some sort, I mean, it doesn't have to actually be a red carpet, but some sort of function where there are photographers there because they're a press, because they're going to a gala event, like Baby to Baby, I think is one of the big things in Hollywood that most celebrities go to, and those sorts of things, and that's how they promote their charitable endeavors. What they don't do is bring a photographer to take pictures of them while they're supposedly doing their charity. Now, I know maybe some do that, but Harry and Meghan consistently do that. That's why I think their charity so often rings hollow, because it seems so performative rather than doing something quietly. And what I think it shows as well is that they are really trying to emulate what royals do here in the States. And that does not work because Harry and Meghan don't represent anything else but their own business interests. Royals represent the government, the people, the history, the nation. Harry and Meghan just represent the almighty dollar. That's all they're in pursuit of, is money. And so when they do these sort of performative charitable events, I can't help but think I was like, are you really doing that because of the charity or because you make money? And now if you look at something like, say, the Gates Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, although I don't know how they've divvied up things now after their divorce, don't want to go into that. But there is a bit about their story and why they started it. But when you look at the website, Bill and Melinda Gates are not in every single picture. Bill and Melinda Gates aren't even the focus of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Essentially, they have given a massive endowment to it. They've established a board, employees, all these sorts of things. And then although they interact and I'm sure have a voice within it, they are sort of separated from the work as well because the employees can do the work. The people who are passionate about the project can do the work. But Harry and Meghan aren't building the Archewell Foundation like that. They're building it as a personal promotional vehicle. And that is so incredibly wrong in my opinion. That is not what their charitable efforts should be. And it also, again, reflects that they are more interested in being seen as royals and not really working. But I think also it's a sign that Harry and Meghan realize that they're failing pretty spectacularly in Hollywood. I'm sure they've gotten a lot of notes from Netflix going, you got to shape up or we might have to toss out this whole endeavor. You have until 2025 to prove to us that you can produce a good product. But they have yet to do that. And yes, they had one success. But again, I don't even think their success, if you looked at it from a purely artistic and creative standpoint, it wasn't that good. It was called out for doing stupid things like using stock footage or footage of other events that had nothing to do with Harry and Meghan and claiming that they were being stalked like that. I mean, one of them was from a red carpet event that Harry and Meghan were not at. It was a Harry Potter event. And yet they're using the stock footage. One was so blatantly a stock image. I'm like, why did you guys use something so incredibly stupid? Because that looks completely fake. Trying to portray Meghan as this woman who was just incredibly harassed, and of course she needed this huge protection that Harry offered her and all these sorts of things, and the royals were terrible and everything she was saying in that documentary. But at the end of the day, so much of that rings as completely false. But they have to perpetuate it because they have to make people believe they're royal again. Because at the end of the day, that is the only thing that has made them money. They have failed in Hollywood because Meghan was never even a success in Hollywood to begin with. I don't know why she didn't just go back to trying to be an influencer or something, because this whole thing Harry and Meghan are doing are just not working. And I think they see a moment as Charles is sick and as Catherine is out to sort of promote themselves again as half in, half out royals. That yes, we can be royal again. We can be the royals that you need. But the problem is, nobody wants them. And nobody is buying this blatant attempt to try to recapture their royal magic. But they willingly gave up the royal sparkle for the Markle sparkle. And we all know the Markle sparkle fades very, very quickly. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Check out all the links down below, and I shall see you very, very soon. Bye.